Hey, welcome to Explore HVAC and Home Services podcast, where we uncover stories, strategies, and some secrets behind successful businesses. I'm your host, Pam Mashburn, and today we're joined by a special guest, the owner of All Star Heating and Air Conditioning in Knoxville, Tennessee. Welcome, Tony. And the way we say your last name is Tony Yanniello, right?
There we go. You got it perfectly. Thanks for
love
having
it.
me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So, we'll just start with some easy questions. How long have you been in business? Tell me how you
we
got started.
we opened the business in 2020, so we had perfect timing for COVID. So we decided to open the business in about February, and we booked our first job somewhere around the middle of March. And this is great. The first job we booked, I broke my arm on the job site. The first job we booked, about 10 days later, I go in for surgery and they're shutting down the hospitals because of COVID. So that was the way to start a business.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Were you having a lot of second thoughts?
I kind of thought, well, if we can get through this, we can get through anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was very
It was
challenging.
such a crazy time. It wasn't like a stock market crash or something that it was so different that nobody knew what to do.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got out of the hospital, was your arm in, like, were you able to work or did you have to stay out of work for a little while?
No, I had a full cast all the way up to my armpit from wrist to my armpit. So I learned to do some things left-handed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, was it just a one-man operation then, or did you have some help?
No, that's right. For about the first 6 months, it was just me. Yeah. So one man in a van and, trying to deal with customers, talk to customers, do the work, everything all by myself there for about the first 6 months.
Wow. That's really hard. Now, so how skilled were you? How long had you done HVAC before you opened up?
Yeah. I'm third generation. So my grandfather, way back in the day, put in like coal furnaces, and then my dad was kind of in the oil furnace era, and then so I kind of grew up in it. So by the time I was 10 or 12, I was being recruited on nights and weekends to go help crawl under houses and so forth.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you knew what you were getting into.
I
You
did.
just didn't know what the economy was going to do.
Well,
But
and
as it
then
turned out, it was great, right? For the HVAC industry.
it did turn out to be a blessing. Yes.
Yeah, it's funny how God can turn things around like that. So that's in 2020. Fast forward, we're in 2026. What do you guys look like now? How many people have you got? Because it's not just you anymore.
No, it's not just me. We've got six in the field crew out doing servicing and installation, and then we've got myself and 2 full-time office.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So you have somebody that answers the phones,
Oh,
right?
definitely, yes.
Yeah. When did you make that switch? Because I've talked to a lot of people and they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to take on that full-time office help.
Yeah, no. As we grew, when we started, we started out of literally out of the basement garage. Got into that about 6 or 7 months, and I just couldn't be on the job sites doing work and answer the phone. So I brought someone in to help answer the phones at that point, and also brought on my first service technician. And we moved out of the garage into a rented self-storage unit for the warehouse.
So is that where you're still at, or have you grown since then?
No, we've moved a couple times since then. We've rented and moved and seem to be outgrowing, and we've got plans this year to move into a new facility.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing about that. So tell me thinking back on it, what were some learnings that you got from those early days of experience? One was you didn't need to be answering the phones.
Yeah.
What were some other things that you learned pretty quickly?
I think one of the things that I had to realize was not everybody's going to do things the way I would do them myself, but as
Yeah.
long as the end result is good, and it's the right result for the customer and for the company, then let them do things their way.
That's a hard lesson to learn.
It is
That's
for sure.
it is.
Yeah.
Um, what anything else?
Yeah. I think early on, I think probably one of the other lessons was that, every customer is important. And,
Mm,
you never know which customer is going to open an opportunity for significantly more business. So I think, it may be one home, but that person in a home may be a property manager or a facility manager or something like that. So you've got to treat everyone equally and try to give everybody the same level of service.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So, how did you come up with a name?
Oh, that's
Tell me about that.
interesting. That is interesting. I mentioned earlier that I was third generation in the business. So as I was growing up through my teenage years, it's pretty frequent for me to get pulled in on the weekends or evenings to help my dad with whatever moonlighting or side work he had going on. Um, so I think I was about 13. Uh, he he asked me to go down the road to Miss Lawson's house and put some refrigerant in her unit. You got to picture this. I'm like 13 years old. Back then, I had nice blonde hair, a little bit long. Riding my Huffy or down the road with
Yeah.
holding a jug of refrigerant in one hand, and the refrigerant gauge is kind of strapped across my shoulder. Go down the road. Miss Lawson's only down a block or two from us. Put refrigerant in the unit, get it fixed, get it up and running. That evening, my dad says, "Hey, how'd it go down there? Did you take care of Miss Lawson?" I'm like, "Great, it's up and running. It's perfect. No issues at all." And he he gave me a little high five, and he said, "You're an air conditioning all star. You got this, And it just kind of stuck.
I
So
love that.
that's a nickname I can share. I've got some other nicknames for my dad, but I don't want to hear those.
Yeah, we got to keep it G.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. So that's kind of where it came from, and it just kind of stuck. And then when we were preparing to open this business, we knew that could be one of the names. As we're just kind of spitballing and trying to figure it out. My son, who was, I guess, 9 years old at that point, sat down on the living room floor and just drew a bunch of like all star and like stars with kind of rainbows and coming like a shooting star. And I've actually got all those still in the drawer over here.
Oh, you need to
But
frame that.
yeah,
That's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah, probably will at some point. But so it just kind of stuck at that point. Yeah.
That is cool. Okay, so so you had a 9-year-old. You're married. You have another. You have a daughter too.
I have, yes, we have 6 children.
Oh, okay. How did I not know that?
I don't know.
I don't know that either. Gosh, that's usually the
Yeah.
first thing I find out when somebody has 6 children because
Yes,
that's a big responsibility. So wow,
it is.
deciding to start your own business was even a bigger challenge then. I mean, because you've got a
Yes,
lot of family to support.
that's right. Yeah,
Were you working a full-time job beforehand and then made the leap? Like, how did you make
I
that
did.
decision?
I did. I've been in the industry my whole life. So, and I'd always ran other people's businesses, kind of operations manager, general manager, that kind of thing.
Huh.
And the last place I was there for about a decade, and just kind of had that uh, um, entrepreneurial seizure that we get, where it's like,
Mhm.
why am I doing this for somebody else? Why am I, investing my life here? I want to go do something else. So it was a big decision. But looking back at it 5, 6 years later, I think it was, I know it was the best decision.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I know it is. You're killing it out there right now. So, well, okay, now I have to know the ages of your children.
Current,
Give me give me the rundown. If you can remember them
no,
all.
I'll get them mostly right. 14, 22, 26, 27, 32, 34.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. I know that you must have started when you were 14 because you don't look
a,
like you have
a
kids.
little later than that, but very young. Yes.
Wow. That's awesome. I love that. So, are any of your children interested in joining you to be the 4th generation?
Um, Brianna works in the office. She's on the phones and doing some invoicing and that kind of stuff. So she's involved in the business now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. My boys have all three of my boys have worked in my business, and all three of them have said that I work too hard, and they don't want to work that hard.
Well, yeah, I understand that.
I think they remember it more in the early days when it was all weekend at night, all
Right.
those hard days when you first
Right.
get started,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But so I love that whole story, and you've really leaned into your branding on the whole All Star. Are you guys involved like in baseball and in the sports arena? I mean, like locally?
We try to do a lot with the local community sports organizations from like Little League baseball and you know I think it's called Junior Pro, but kind of the rec league basketball all the way up through high school. And we very heavily involved in the local. We sponsor just about any athletic team that comes asking.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's a budget, but we do that. Whether it's baseball, softball, wrestling, track, we don't. If they're a local sports team, high school or just open league, and they need some support, we're there for them. One of the other things that we've done in that regard is um, we do we do a lot of we give these sports organizations bottles of water that are logoed with our logo and our phone number.
Ooh,
We
that's a
go
great
through
idea.
Yes, yeah, we go through probably 4,000 bottles of water a year, and we donate it, um, and it allows them to sell it at their concession stands, as to help them raise funds for their sport. So,
Wow.
yeah, that's we try to stay as involved as we can with that kind of thing.
Do you have somebody in the office that like puts labels on the water bottles, or do y'all
We buy
order them?
we buy them that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was about to say,
no,
that sounds like a lot of work,
yeah.
but that sounds really cool. So tell me, like, what do you feel like other than just the philanthropy part of helping, these teams, how do you feel like it's impacted your business?
Well, I think that we've had a lot of as you know, in the industry, we've got a lot of Wall Street money, private equity money coming in and buying up competitors. And we've got one of the largest competitors that's near us, who used to be very involved in the community when it was
Mhm.
locally owned and operated. Uh, they got bought out 2 years ago, and they pulled back on all that type of local community support. So I think that we were able to fill a void in the community, um, where some of the local mom and pop or family owned businesses are no longer such. And I think that people see that and they'll stop us. I wear our branded shirts quite frequently, and we'll get stopped. Um, at the hardware store or at a sporting event or school event, and people will come up and genuinely thank us for the support. So I think it goes a long ways towards building good reputation within the community.
Yeah, I think so too. I always recommend that people do something to be a part of that local community. And we call it kind of lean into local is what we've been
Hmm.
calling it, because the private equities, the big box stores, they're not going to do that. They're not going to be there to support our communities. And it is scary because as more private equity comes into more, I mean, they're coming into vets and dentists and all this
Yes,
stuff. There's just not going to be, um, the support for, local sports and just, nonprofits. And
that's right.
so I think it's great that you guys are filling that void. And I love the bottles of water. That's a really great idea because
Well,
it's not super expensive, but it's a great branding tool.
it is, and I was astounded how long a bottle of water will stay around because people will buy it at a basketball game or a baseball game, and it makes its way into the car, and then it rolls around in the floorboard of the car, and or somebody takes it in the house and they sit it on the counter or the bar in the home, and they have a longer shelf life than you would anticipate.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah,
yeah. Well,
but I think you're right because you know what? Those things are valuable. Like if you got to have your water, you got to have your water.
well,
So
yeah.
I love it. I love it. So where do you think, like, okay, so right now, at the point that you are, like, you had a lot of issues when you first get started, right? Just manpower, getting people on, getting the phone, getting people to call you. What do you think has changed in your business? What are the big barriers that you struggle with now at the stage you're at?
I think that probably the biggest struggle we have is with scaling or with growth is finding and keeping good people within the company. We've really not had a struggle or an issue with work and with customers. It's been having enough manpower and enough quality team members to make sure that we can keep growing and serving those customers. That's
Right.
probably the biggest struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a capacity issue, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, have you got any great advice on finding good people? Like, how do you find good people?
That's I think not all the people that we hire are going to already be in the trade. I think that when you find a top quality person, maybe it's a server at a restaurant or someone helping you load up your mulch at a Home Depot or Lowe's. If they're a good person, have good customer service skills, communicate well, that may be your next CSR or it may be your next maintenance technician. We have to be open to finding talent that's not already in the industry.
I think that's great. I heard another guest on our show say that they hire for attitude and train them on aptitude,
Yeah,
and I thought that was really good.
perfect.
Because you
Yes,
can't. Um, we've got to grow. Like you're growing your business, you've also got to grow people into the business
agreed.
sometimes.
Yes.
And then as far as training your people, what have you found is some good advice on training? Like, what have you learned? Good and bad.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think really what we found is most people in our industry, especially on the field side, um, they need to have their hands on things. They learn by putting their hands on things and physically doing the work. So when we bring someone in, uh, whether they came through a vocational school and have no field experience, or maybe they've been in the field for 6 months or 18 months, we spend a lot of time on the front end. Um, Having them ride with senior or lead technicians. And kind of a lot of times they're actually doing the work with the lead technician, looking over their shoulder and making sure it's done right. But we also do a lot of, I think training is also very repetitive. Um, we train on the same things repeatedly, kind of on a cycle, because as soon as you stop talking about it and training on it, it kind of slides into the,
Hmm.
down, kind of backslides, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that, especially if you get people from other areas, like here at Explore HVAC, we kind of have the Explore HVAC way of doing things,
Hmm.
and so we call it the Explore HVAC way. And so, do you find that there's some things like that are the all star way of doing things that you have to um, repeat a lot to make sure
Yes.
people get?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I think when we bring in young people that don't have much experience or haven't had much experience in the trade, it's easy to teach them our way of doing things. Um, but but there's a trade off. There's a lack of experience there overall. When we bring in people that have been in the trade for maybe a decade, it's almost a retraining to do things
Hmm.
our way. And yeah, there's certain things that we do, certain in-home processes, from the way we park the van and where we park the van to how we approach the door to the language we use in that first 30 seconds to a minute, that a lot of people haven't been exposed to and don't understand. We have to train on those kind of things over and over.
Well, I know, I know a little bit about some of the training that you guys do, and I know part of it is you teach the why,
Yes,
not just the what to do, but why you're doing it, and I think that's really important. Especially because, like, do y'all find, do you have to train up your, young techs on, dealing with male customers versus female customers in the home?
we do male customers versus female is whole. You do have to approach them differently. Um, and it, you know, we 90% of the time we are dealing with a female in the home. Uh, and we have to make sure that they're comfortable with us. So
Mhm.
we do things on the front end, our CSRs. try to introduce the technicians coming out over the phone. So they
Well,
know,
that's
hey,
good.
Tom's coming. Tom's been doing
Hmm.
this for 12 years. He's going to do a great job for you. We also um, send an alert out when the technician is dispatched or en route. Again, a picture of Tom, a little
Well,
bio of
that's
Tom,
good.
so that they know
Yeah.
who's going to be knocking on the front door.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
yeah, and then we just want to make sure that they're comfortable. We make sure that we maintain a distance when we knock on the door, so that there's a buffer zone there, so that first few seconds the homeowner can see who's there and assess the situation. So
Right.
yeah,
No, I think that's really great. In this day and age, people are nervous as because there's a lot of bad people out there. So as women, yeah, I
yes,
know that's a concern. And I think it's great that and I don't think especially young men realize that,
yes.
and so it is something that needs to be trained. So I think that's very cool. So what are some other things about your company culture that you would say like this is something that I think that we do a little differently or this is how I keep people engaged
Yeah,
here at All Star?
that's we do a lot of different things, but I think um, we try to have a morning huddle every morning with the entire team, uh, just 10 to 12 minutes most days. But
Mhm.
it gives everybody an opportunity to kind of just stay connected with one another, support each other. That's one thing we do. We try to do a lot of. We're very open, so we're open with numbers. Uh, we talk about our goals. We have goals set publicly and posted, and we talk about how
Yeah.
we're going to reach them and what's going to happen when we reach them. We try to reward the team for those team goals.
Mhm.
I think we do a lot of competitions, especially amongst the field. I think if you can keep a little competitive juices flowing, that helps kind of gamify things. We may do a review drive for a month where the person with the most reviews every week gets a prize of some sort, or we
Yeah.
may do a yard sign competition,
Oh, I like that
that
too.
kind of thing. So whoever gets the most yard signs in customers' yards.
How do
So
you measure that? Do they have to take a picture of it?
well, yeah, you have to take a picture, and it has to be in our CRM system,
Oh, okay, cool.
attached to that customer's profile.
Y'all go pick those up afterwards, or does the customer end up just putting it in their
We
garage?
just leave them out and tell them leave them as long as you want to. Some probably last 2 days, but I've driven by some that I know have been out for months. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
There's some power in some yard signs.
yes, especially when on a local level. When you're really trying to be more prominent locally, and you get the yard signs out, and we try not to put them in median strips or public right of
Mhm.
ways. We try to only do them in people's yards where we have
Well, because
permission.
what it is that homeowner is basically giving you guys the approval, so that the neighbors know, oh, they must have really liked them because
Right.
they've got the sign in the yard.
Perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. For
So
sure.
I think that's great. How many yard signs do y'all have out at any time?
I don't
Or
know,
how
but
many order? What do you put in an order? Like 100?
we buy a couple hundred at a time usually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Every
cool.
couple months. Yeah. So I would say we go through 100 a month if I were to guess. So
Wow. Do y'all have people call in and say, "Oh, I saw my neighbor was using y'all"?
we do have that sometimes, and we also have people call in and say, "Why you have yard signs out in our neighborhood?"
Oh,
Because you always have those people.
it's
It's
against
like,
the covenances.
well, it's in Miss Smith's yard, and she said we could. So go talk to Miss Smith.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, and that kind of leads me into talking a little bit about marketing, because you guys, Tony, you're like one of the owners that we work with that really digs into the marketing and like really tries to understand the data and just studies it and keeps up with it. Because we have some folks and they're so busy they don't have time to look at it, until we meet with them in that monthly meeting. But you're looking at it. I know you're looking at it every Monday morning, and sometimes more often than that, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Marketing is a big expense for a growing company.
Hmm.
Most companies are going to spend 6, 8, 10% of the revenue on marketing. So, if that was 10% you spend on labor, you would be trying to figure out, is my labor efficient? Is there a way that I can, redeploy this labor in a better manner? And I think you have to do the same with your marketing budget. You have to look at it. You have to look at every, um, whether it's the yard signs or direct mail or outbound texting or
Your Google Leads,
Google Leads,
whatever it is, your
Salesforce. Yeah,
emails, whatever it is.
absolutely. We have to look at
Yeah.
all of them and determine what's working, what's not, and be engaged in that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I think it used to be, you'd find that one thing, like you'd talk to someone there, like, oh, I just do mailers. And then some people would be like, oh, I just do Google, or I just put some stuff out on Facebook. And what I have seen over the last, I don't know, probably really the last 5 years significantly, is just the need to like understand that whole funnel. Like, what's that customer journey? Okay, well, they saw your sign in the neighborhood, then they saw your truck, then they might have gotten a mailer, and then something happens to their AC unit. Then they go and say, "Oh, I gotta go find somebody." And they may not remember you right then, but then they go to Google and they go, "Oh, yeah, I remember those guys.
Yes.
I know them. Somebody I've seen them. I'm gonna call them." Right? And so you guys are really good at making sure that you're, especially even with these water bottles. I didn't even realize that. Like, you can't always measure, like, somebody's not gonna call up and say, "Oh, I got a water bottle."
Right.
Like, they're not gonna
Yeah.
say that. But because they keep seeing you everywhere, they really, if somebody says, "Well, how did you hear about us?" And they just kinda say, "Oh, I see y'all everywhere."
Right. Right.
And if you're
Yes.
doing that, you've got it, right?
That's right. That's right. And we do have a different number on the water bottle, so we can kind of track it if somebody calls it. But
So how many
um,
calls do you get from water bottles?
yeah,
I wanna
it's
know.
not a ton. It's not a ton. It's probably a couple dozen a year total.
Really?
Yeah.
Couple of
Yeah.
dozen?
It's not a lot. But just what you said, I see the most recent plumber we hired actually said, "I see your trucks everywhere. You got nice trucks. Your guys are dressed well. Your brand is good. Your Facebook social presence is great. That's why I applied to work there."
Wow.
So not only
Wow,
does the
Tony, that's pretty
branding,
powerful.
yes, yes, it can bring employees as well. Yes,
Wow, that's really cool. I hadn't heard that and hadn't thought about it, but it is true, right?
yes.
People wanna work for winners.
Well, I think it's a good brand. It's a fresh brand, and I think the younger people were looking for something like that. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
no, I think that's great. Man, I didn't know. Couple of dozen from water bottles.
yeah, yeah.
I may have to add that. I'm gonna have to add that to the list of things to do. I love
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What do you think a common mistake that HVAC business owners make that hurts their business?
I think probably the biggest mistake is people think they have to do everything themselves.
Mm,
And that holds the business back. And I've got a whiteboard here in my office, and the top of the whiteboard that's been up there for as far as I can remember. And I don't know where I got it from, so I can't take credit for it, but it says 70 plus 70 equals 140. 140 is greater than 100. And it's there to remind me that two people that can do
wow.
70% of what I can do more than what I can do when you combine them together. And it's just one of those things. It's like, I can't run every call. I can't answer every phone. Most business owners feel like they would do any task within their business better than anybody they hire. That's one of the things that holds them back. So they don't hire, they don't add on, because I can't find a good person that can run this or fix that or install that. You've just got to say, okay, I've got to let go of that thought and put somebody in there and help them become as efficient as I can. So,
Yeah, I was telling somebody in a different podcast that I was on. It was in a different industry, but I used to, that's what I used to do when it was just me. We've been in business for 20 years. When it was just me, I would hire somebody. I'd say, I can do your job. I'm only hiring you because I don't have enough time.
mhm, yeah,
It's like, I don't have enough time. So I'm hiring you now. And then I don't have enough time for this. So I'm going to give this to you. And then I realized, if I really want to grow this business, I don't need to hire people just to do what I could do. Like, I need to hire people that are
yeah,
better at this than I am. And
right.
so that was kind of a big mind shift for me. But that was the whole part of letting go and recognizing that I don't have to be the expert at everything.
That's
I
right.
really need them. I need to know a little of everything so that I can hold them accountable, but they need to become like really good at what they do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And nobody's, and I don't care what anybody says, nobody's going to work as hard as the business owner.
No, I
That's just
agree.
that's just never going to happen.
I agree. Yes,
Because they don't have to make payroll happen.
that's right.
So, so I want to know, when you look back, I'm going to quit looking back for a minute. I'm going to look ahead because you were hearing all about AI and all the different things that the world is starting to change. And HVAC is changing too, whether it's refrigerant, whether it's thermostats, whether it's getting diagnostics, where you can read it remotely, all of that stuff. What excites you about what's coming up?
I think one of the things that I'm excited about is you kind of touched on it with some of the remote capabilities that are rolling out. A lot of them are in a infant stage now, but in the industry for years we've done memberships, and you go to Miss Smith's house twice a year, whether she needs it or not.
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, we don't feel like that has to happen. So I think some of the technology coming is going to allow us to monitor a few key components of her system and know when she really is having a problem and when we really need to go out to her house. That's going to make our businesses more efficient. So that's one thing I'm excited about.
Yeah. Well, and I think as a customer that excites me. I don't want to have to be there. Like
Right.
I'm never at home. I'm
Yes.
not home until 7 o'clock at night because I'm at
Yep.
work. And so for me to have to make sure somebody's at home
Mm-hmm.
is it's a lot. And
Yes.
so to
Yes.
take that
Yes.
burden off the homeowner is also a really great thing.
Yes. It's a definite inconvenience to the homeowner to
Yeah.
have to schedule an appointment and be there for us. I think another thing that excites me is we've talked about P kind of entering the space. It's done a couple things. It's kind of raise the ceiling a little bit and allow us to run businesses differently than we did previously. Um, but there's also a lot of opportunities because the Ps aren't as connected locally. A lot of them are even doing call centers out of different cities, those kind of things. So it's allowing some customers to make a move to local.
Mm,
So some of those customers were with a local company. It sold. Now it's a PE company. They're still looking for local. So we gain customers that way. We also gain some employees that way because
yes, I didn't thought
there's a
about
lot of
that. Hmm.
employees that would prefer working for a local company, somewhere where they can come in and sit down with the owner and have a conversation.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a great opportunity. Likewise, there's so many people that own trades businesses that are reaching retirement age, gives someone an opportunity to go in and partner with them, help them get out of the field and retire, and also take care of those customers.
Right.
That's been one of the things that we've done a few times over the last 5 or 6 years, and it's been great for that person that wants to retire and get out. It's been great for the customers because now they have uh, somebody to service them and provide a high level service. It's been great for our company and our team.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. There's a lot of opportunities for growth. But
Yes.
the two that you just mentioned are really great because I know I always think about your market share as like a pie. You've got a circle
Hmm.
and you've got this amount, and there's only so many people in an area unless it's just growing. Although I think Knoxville is growing, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
So, yeah. So the pie will grow, but having somebody leave out of there or some disruption provides a lot of opportunities for y'all. So I think
Yes.
that's cool. And I would rather have you guys be checking on my system and saying, "Oh, hey, it's time for us to come out." And then I know, okay, I gotta go meet them instead of just setting it up.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so I am going to look at, um, let us step back one more time though and just say, for All Star heating and air conditioning as a whole, what are the things that you're most proud of that you're able to do with All Star?
Oh goodness. Obviously, our involvement in the community is great and huge, but I think the biggest thing is um, being able to provide opportunities for the team here, for them to move their career forward and to provide a better way of life for their families. We've got a little different pay scale, and I don't want to get into the details of it, but um, there's some videos being cut and edited right now by Explore, uh, where I think one of our technicians made the comment in the video that it was our pay scale can be life changing for an HVAC service tech if they grab it and take hold of it and live the process that we run and use the pay scale that we use. So that particular employee has been with us a little while, and I've seen him, his life change. He has bought a house and those kind of things. And that I take a lot of pride in being able to help people, support their family and help support the community. Yeah.
That that is that's a way to be a blessing to other people for sure. To give them a great environment to work in where they can support their families and grow personally and grow financially. So I love that. I love that. Are there other learnings or anything else you think that the audience would enjoy or would give them some insight?
One of the things we've done for growth, and I think a lot of new business owners, they're afraid of the price. They think that the way to grow the business or get market shares being, the low price leader.
Yeah.
One of the things I feel like we've been able to do correctly was we came right out of the start priced properly, where we're able to invest back into the team and grow the business. And I think that's a huge deal because if you're the low price leader, you don't have the money to put back into the team and to pay the best for the best technicians and, to be able to take care of the customer when something does come up and there's an issue. So I think that's something a lot of new business owners struggle with is they just want to do it cheap, and you just can't provide that high level of service and provide for your team if you're the cheapest guy in town.
There's a lack of confidence there and authority. I wonder if
Yes.
just the experience that you've had and working in the business or working in the industry since you were 13
Yeah.
prepared you for that. And I can see how a young business owner would you get a little desperate and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna offer it for whatever I can get,
Right.
But that isn't the way to grow the business. And you're right about that. And you can see with the business that you've grown, you made a lot of the right decisions with scaling. And packaging pricing is a tough one, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes, it is.
So I appreciate you being so honest and sharing all of this information with us. So thank you, Tony, for joining us, and to our listeners, thanks for tuning in. Please remember to subscribe for more insights and stories and tips. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep exploring.